I have a VB application here in which the user is being asked a question. In this case, what kind of pet barks? And they're asked to enter an answer and click the submit button. This answer is in the form of a text box named txt answer, and then the button is btn submit. Let's take a look at the code. And so I have a variable called answer, which is a string data type. I'm going to have it set it equal to our txt answer text box, the text property of that text box. And then I've got an if-else condition, that if the answer equals dog, then I'm going to show a message box as that is right, correct. And if anything else, we're going to show a message box that says that is not right, try again, and a title of incorrect. Let me go ahead and run this. So I type in the word dog and click submit, and I'm told that is not right. Try again. If, however, I type in dog, lowercase, I'm told that is right. So let's take a look at why that is. I'm looking for the value of answer, which is my txt answer text box, the text of that going into the variable answer, and I'm comparing that to the word dog as a literal string, all lowercase. It's expecting an exact match. If I put in the answers all lowercase, it's a match, but if I capitalize the D or capitalize the entire word, it would not be a match. And here's the reason why. Remember back from your beginning CIS 105 class that everything the computer sees is ones and zeros. And if I type a capital A from the keyboard, it's going to see a sequence of zeros and ones of 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. If I'm typing a capital D, as we see here in this example, we see the sequence there, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. So that's binary values that can be converted to a decimal number, which in this case, the decimal number would be 68. We refer to that as the letter's ASCII number. Nowadays, we tend to maybe also use the word Unicode. And this ASCII value is different for each letter. You can see the letter O there is a 79, letter G is a 71. You can see the 0 and 1 sequences for each of those. And then look at the lowercase d. It has a different sequence and a different ASCII value. When we're comparing strings in Visual Basic and also in C#, it's looking at the ASCII values of the letters. So it's actually comparing a capital D 68 to a lowercase d 100 and saying those are not the same. And that's why we do not get a match unless it's exactly the same case sensitivity as the word we're trying to compare to. If we were to try to do a less than symbol where where dog with a capital D is being compared to dog with a lowercase d, because the uppercase d is less than a lowercase d. And therefore, dog is less than dog. 68 is less than 100. Now, if this happened to be a capital D, the first two letters are the same, but then I would compare the second two letters. And a capital O is going to be less than a lowercase o. Rule of thumb is uppercase letters are always less than lowercase letters. Well, how can we get around that? We have a method as part of the string class called toUpper, in which I can take a string. In this case, I have the word dog as a literal string, and I can add to it a dot toUpper. It's a method, so it's got parentheses, and that will be equivalent to dog in all uppercase. Or there's also a toLower method that does the exact opposite. I can take dog dot toLower, and it would be equivalent to all lowercase. Now, typically, we're not using literal strings with these. We're using variables. I might have something like a variable such as xyz that declared as a string data type. It equals dog. And then if xyz.toUpper equals dog in all uppercase, then I'm going to do something. That would be a true statement. And that statement is going to ring true as long as they put in dog, and they can use any case sensitivity they want. All lowercase, all uppercase. They could do a lowercase do and an uppercase g, all those would be matches. This is a way of producing case-insensitive string matching. So I'm going to go back to my program, and in my code, I'm going to change this to answer.toLower equals dog, and I'm going to run it again. And now if I type in capital D, O, let's do a capital G, I'm told that's right. It is a match. And if I do all uppercase, that's still a match. If I do all lowercase, that's a match. However, let me show you one other problem. A lot of times we're used to typing spaces between words, and so the user may type a space after the word dog and click submit, and now they're told that's not right. Because now we're comparing a phrase with a space after the G to one that does not have a space. Well, how can we get around that problem? We have another method called trim. What trim does, it removes any spaces in front of or behind the string. So preceding the string or at the end of the string. Now it won't remove spaces inside of a string, so if we have multiple words as a phrase, it would keep those spacing between words. But any preceding spaces or any spaces after the end of that phrase would be removed. Now we can use the .trim method with .toUpper or .toLower, and it doesn't matter whether it comes after the toUpper or before the toUpper or before the toLower or after the toLower. They're simply used in combination. And so in this case I have a little string of dog with a space. It's going to convert that all to uppercase and then trim the spaces. Or in this case I'm going to remove the space and then change it to lowercase and get dog as lowercase. So again, here's how we use it as part of a variable in a Boolean expression, xyz.toUpper.trim equals dog. So let's go back to our program, and I'm going to add, after .toLower, a .trim. And we'll test that. And so now I can type in dog, and I'm going to put a couple spaces after that, or 3 spaces after it, and click submit, and I'm told that's right. If I put a space in front of it, it's still right. It's removing those spaces both before and after the word dog and converting that whole thing to lowercase before it does the comparison with my little string of dog lowercase. So that's how we can improve our string comparisons in VB. Here's the same problem in C#. Same interface. I have a text box named txt answer and a button named btn submit. We'll take a look at the code. Same general idea. We have a variable named answer, which is a string data type. We're getting the text property of txt answer and placing that into our answer variable. And then I have an if statement, if answer equals dog. So same problem we had before on the VB side. It's going to be case sensitive. We have the same methods for strings on the C# side. So I'm going to convert this to lower and also use the trim method. And then I'll test. So if I type a lowercase d, a capital O, and a capital G, click submit, I'm told that that's a match. That's right. So I can use all uppercase, all lowercase, or a mixed case. If I put spaces after it, still a match. Spaces before it, still a match. So really the primary difference here with C# in our Boolean expression, we simply need to make sure we use the double equal sign. In VB, we could use a less than, greater than if we want to compare 2 strings to see if one is less than another. We might want to do that if we were going to alphabetize maybe a list of strings. But in C#, we can't use a greater than or less than symbol when comparing strings. Instead, C# has a compare method as part of the C# class. And so I can use a statement. So I can use a statement of string.compare, and in parentheses put two strings separated by a comma. So in this case I have XYZ and another string variable called ABC. XYZ is equal to dog, ABC is equal to cat. And I want to check to see if dog is greater than cat. And of course D comes after C, so that should be a true statement. So for string.compare, if that is equal to 0, that means the two strings would be the same. So those XYZ and ABC values would be the same. If, however, it returns a value that is less than 0, then that means the first string was less than the second. Or if it returns a value that is greater than 0, that means the first string was greater than the second. So I'm going to go back to my program, and I'm going to change my structure here a little bit. I'm going to actually apply the dot to lower and dot trim to the text property of my text box before I assign it to the answer variable. Just going to make it a little bit simpler, a little more readable in terms of my string compare. So I'm going to replace the Boolean expression then in the if with string.compare, and it takes a set of parentheses. This is going to be our first string, which is going to be answer, and our second string, which would be dog lowercase. And then I'm going to check to see if that whole thing equals 0. So I'm checking to see if answer is equal to dog using string.compare. And if we then run our application, so I put in all uppercase, and I'm told that's correct. If I put in all lowercase, that's correct. And mixed case is still correct.